Yorùbá jákèjádò àgbáyé níbikíbi tẹ́ bá ti láǹfààní láti máa wò mí àánú Ọlọ́run alààyè ní fi wálẹ̀ wàhálà àti ìdààmú kò ní dé bá wa láṣẹ Èdùmàrè àní rí ń gbé sọnù bí ó ṣe gbé ọmọ mo tó kí wa pákó ìsinmi òní ìsinmi ayọ̀ ìsinmi ìdùnnú ìsinmi ìfọkànbalẹ̀ ló máa jẹ́ fún wa òní ọjọ́ 13 oṣù kẹrin ọdún 2025 ọ̀rọ̀ tó dáyẹ́pẹ́yẹ́rin kalẹ̀ inú oṣù yìí náà ló ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ 5 oṣù kẹrin oríṣiríṣi àwọn èèyàn ló sọ̀rọ̀ lára wọn ni bàbá mi Dáre Babarinsa tí wọ́n jẹ́ alága Gaskia Media Limited. Bàbá ti fọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọdún wà ní Tel News Magazine ìwé ìròyìn Tel. Bàbá yìí lọ́kọ̀ àpilẹ̀kọ kan àpilẹ̀kọ òun ni wọ́n pè ní It is the turn of Aláàfin Owoade. Bó ti wù kí purọ́purọ́ pọ̀ tó àwọn èèyàn kankan ò ní ṣàìwà láti sòótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ láì wojú ẹnikẹ́ni. Yorùbá lọ wọ́n bọ̀ wọ́n ní purọ́purọ́ kú ó kú sójú ooru sìkàsìkà kú ọ̀nà sẹ̀sáàrò ó lóòótọ́ nìkan ní kú sínú pósí rẹ a sì fi ẹ̀yìn tí sẹ̀gí ilẹ̀kẹ̀ ìkíní kọ́kọ́ kú igbanilẹ́kẹ̀ kànga ìképabi ó dúdú ọ̀dàlẹ̀ pabi á ṣe ọ̀gọ̀gọ̀ ojú ayé rẹ lóde gbangba la ṣe gbangba bẹ́sẹ̀ ọba bá kú ìta gbangba lójúde gan là á ṣe é sí. It is the turn of Aláàfin Owoade. Ọ̀rọ̀ tí Dáre Babarinsa sọ kò tẹ́ Ọ̀yọ́ lọ́rùn. Mo mọ̀ wípé wọ́n fún bàbá mi ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìdúnkòokò mọ́ ìyẹn mú wọn láti ṣe addendum ìyẹn ni wọ́n pè ní Aláàfin an addendum. Lẹ́yìn ẹ̀ ni wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ látọ̀yọ́ náà ohun tí wọ́n sọ látọ̀yọ́ àkọlé tí wọ́n fún Supremacy of Aláàfin, an essay of caution to Dáre Babarinsa and co-travelers. Now tó bá sọ pé caution to Dáre Babarinsa and co-travelers á jẹ́ pé wọ́n fẹ́ wà nínú àwọn kan nínú àwọn co-travelers yẹn ìyẹn túmọ̀ sí pé àwọn tí wọ́n ní èrò kan náà pẹ̀lú Dáre Babarinsa àwọn tí wọ́n fojú wòye ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Dáre Babarinsa rí nǹkan tí ń ṣẹlẹ̀ àwọn tó ní lọ́kàn láti sọ̀rọ̀ bí bàbá wa Dáre Babarinsa ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ Dáre Babarinsa wọ́n lè dúnkòokò mọ́ kò sẹ́ni tí yóò dúnkòokò má kàn dọ́ọ̀rọ̀ awí kónkó àìkẹ́ mọ́ nígbàgbẹ́ kó gbótọ̀ fún ẹ̀mí àìkí máa bùkẹ́ kọ́ sọ tẹ̀yìn rẹ̀ kalẹ̀ ibo láwà ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ṣé ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ nínú addendum ni àbí ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ níbi àpilẹ̀kọ gangan ẹ̀yà bẹ̀rẹ̀ níbi àpilẹ̀kọ gangan ká ṣe létí ètò bí ọmọ yan gan tẹ́ farabalẹ̀ bí ìyàwó tó fowó ọbẹ̀ dájọ́ bí ó ṣe gbọ́ kò bá kùn bí ọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́nu mọ̀lẹ́bí ọkọ rẹ̀. It is the turn of Aláàfin Owoade Dáre Babarinsa, chairman Gaskia Media Limited. Every ascension of an Aláàfin is an important moment in Yoruba history. So it is with coming of our father Aláàfin Abímbọ́lá Akeem Owoade we began his reign with the symbolic outing in Oyo on Saturday, March 29, 2025. The Aláàfin traditionally represents Yoruba military power. So potent was his power that one of the pedigrees of Olódùmarè was Aláàfin Òde Ọ̀run, the Aláàfin of the celestial space. The empire is gone now, but the symbol and the relevant are still there. Therefore, it was not surprising that the Oyo people put up a great show to signal the beginning of a new reign. Times have changed, and this is symbolized by the presence of His Eminence Muhammadu Sa'ad Abubakar III, the Sultan of Sokoto, whose forefathers destroyed the old Oyo capital and seized the crown of the Aláàfin. Of course, His Imperial Majesty Owoade Ogunwusi Ojaja II, the Ooni of Ife, and Arole Oòduà led a retinue of Yoruba Obas to the ceremony. The Ooni's presence was symbolic and important, especially for the future of the Yoruba nation. Owoade, since his ascension about 10 years ago, has been trying to restore the amity of old among Yoruba Obas before politics intervened, especially during the Second Republic. In 1988, I was in court when Justice Adesoji Aderemi, son of the late Ooni of Ife, Oba Adesoji Aderemi, delivered a judgment in favor of Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, the Aláàfin, who had wanted to install my late boss, Chief Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, as the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, the traditional head of the Oyo Imperial Army. One of Alaafin's chiefs, Amada Olorunsebi, the Ashipa of Oyo, had taken the Aláàfin to court, challenging his power to appoint an Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò. The court ruled that the Aláàfin had the power. The following morning, Abiola was installed the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò. Kí ló fà á tí Ashipa Ọ̀yọ́ Amada Olorunsebi tó fi lè gbóró ọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ilé ẹjọ́? Ìtàn míì ni. Bóò l'Ashipa Ọ̀yọ́ ṣe jẹ́ ìtàn míì ni. The following morning, Abiola was installed the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, but the struggle in Oyo was not for the chicken-hearted. Few years after Abiola became the Kakanfò, Olorunsebi was murdered in a gruesome manner in 1992, which I was in Oyo by then. Mo wà nílùú Ọ̀yọ́, mo ń gbé lọ́yọ̀ ńgbà náà. His family held the Aláàfin responsible for his gory fate and refused to present another candidate for the position of Ashipa. One of Olorunsebi's sons, Ismaila, was our staff in Tell magazine. One day, he joined two of his colleagues for an official assignment in Lagos. When the company van reached Pensinima, Agege, Ismaila said he would like to pick something in the market and asked the others to wait for him. They did. He has not returned till today. Wow. Olorunsebi was a descendant of Ọjà. Torí pé àgọ́ ọjà ni wọ́n pè bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́yọ́ tó dé padà. Wọ́n kàn lọ́ọ̀jì síbẹ̀ ni, ìtàn míì ni. Okay, àgọ́ of Ọjà, who had provided refuge for Oyo stragglers after Aláàfin Olúewu was spying in battle in the 19th century, betrayed by his own generals, and the capital was quickly evacuated. Ọjà's friend Atiba Atobatele, a son of Aláàfin Abiodun, eventually was crowned the Aláàfin in exile, and he made Àgọ́-Ọjà his temporary abode. He believed, with the help of his two formidable generals, Kunmi of Ìjàyè and Olúyọ̀lé of Ìbàdàn, he will soon recover his old capital and Ọjà. His friend will be well compensated for his benevolence and hospitality. Now, however, both Kunmi and Olúyọ̀lé only paid lip service to the interests of their overlord and pursued their own separate ambitions. Therefore, Atiba never recovered his city, and Àgọ́-Ọjà became Ọ̀yọ́ till today. Ni wọ́n fi ń pè ní Àgọ́dọ̀yọ́. Ibi tí Ọ̀yọ́ wà nísìnyí tá ń pè ní Ọ̀yọ́ Àtìbà, àgọ́ ni, Àgọ́-Ọjà ni. Àwọn ìdílé Ashipa Olorunsebi, àwọn ni wọ́n níbẹ̀. Ìgbà ìgbà tí ogun lé àwọn Ọ̀yọ́ kúrò ní Ọ̀yọ́ lé ìyẹn ogun Haúsá Fúlàní yìí iná kàn sí mi ń bẹ̀ ìròǹgbà wọn ni pé láti bẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti kógun padà lọ láti lọ gba ilẹ̀ ní wọn padà kó tó di pé kò ṣeé ṣe kí àgbọn tó wá di Ọ̀yọ́. Therefore, Atiba never recovered his city and Agoja became Ọ̀yọ́ till today. Owoade is the 7th Aláàfin to reign in the new capital. History has therefore called out the assignment for Aláàfin Owoade. One is to find reconciliation with the family of Olorunsebi and the larger citizens of Agoja, the traditional owners of the present Ọ̀yọ́. After the assassination of Olorunsebi, they had refused to present another candidate for the stool of Asipa. Instead, they appointed an Oba Alagoja, who also constituted his own council of chiefs. The case is still in court. Kábíyèsí Owoade should realize that there is no need to play the old game by the old rules that dominated the later years of his illustrious predecessor, Aláàfin Adéyẹmí. When he was installed, the Aláàfin in 1970 by the regime of then Brigadier Adéyínká Adébáyọ̀, the military governor of the West, Ọba Adéyẹmí became the first Aláàfin to work alongside Ọba Adésọjí Adérẹ̀mí, the Ọọ̀ni. When Adérẹ̀mí became the Ọọ̀ni in 1930, the Aláàfin then was the legendary Ọba Ṣiyẹbọ́lá Ládìgbòlù, whose reign was to span 1911 to 1944. It was with Ọba Ládìgbòlù that Adérẹ̀mí organized the first Yoruba Ọba Summit of 1935. The meeting, presided over by the Ọọ̀ni, was hosted by Aláàfin Ládìgbòlù in Ọ̀yọ́. Among leading princes of Odùduwà that attended was the Ọba of Benin, Ọba Akensua II, who was on the throne from 1933 to 1978. When Ládìgbòlù joined his ancestors in 1944, he was succeeded by his cousin Adéníran Adéyẹmí, whose reign ended dramatically in 1954 when he was deposed by the Western Regional Government of Chief Ọbáfẹ́mi Awólọ́wọ̀. That paved the way for Bello Gbádégẹṣin Ládìgbòlù II, son of Ọba Ṣiyẹbọ́lá Ládìgbòlù. Ọba Ládìgbòlù died in 1968 and he was succeeded in 1970 by our father Ọba Ọláyíwọlá Adéyẹmí III, son of the deposed Adéyẹmí II. Aláàfin Adéyẹmí III was to reign for 52 eventful years. Through the reigns of these Aláàfins, Ládìgbòlù first, Adéyẹmí second, Ládìgbòlù second, and Adéyẹmí third, Ọọ̀ni Adérẹ̀mí, who reigned for half a century, remained on the throne and served as the leader of the House of Odùduwà. Adérẹ̀mí's long reign witnessed revolutionary changes. When he came to the throne in 1930, Nigeria had only 3 administrative units: the colony of Lagos, the protectorate of northern Nigeria, and the protectorate of the southern Nigeria. By the time he died in 1980, Nigeria had been divided into 19 states, including Ọ̀yọ́, where he remained the chairman of the Council of Obas. The Aláàfin, as it was in the western states, remained his vice chairman. When the Ọọ̀ni became too enfeebled to preside over meetings, the Aláàfin became the acting chairman of the Ọ̀yọ́ State Council of Obas. Then the Ọọ̀ni joined his ancestors in 1980. Baba Aláàfin wrote a petition to Governor Bola Ige that he would like to be appointed the substantive chairman of the Council of Obas. Ige refused. Ìtàn bọ́m̀bẹ̀ because mo rí fídíò níbi tí bàbá wa gómìnà tẹ́lẹ̀ rí fún ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ olóyè Olúlọ́yọ̀ tí wọ́n ti sọ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń sọ yìí. Àwọn náà wà ní ẹni tó dá wàhálà sílẹ̀ wọ́n lo fídíò yẹn màá reflect lórí ẹ̀ ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ gan màá sọ. Okay, Bola Ige, okay, Council of Obas, Ige refused. Instead, he announced that the newly installed Ooni of Ife, Ọba Okun Adesiju Olubuse II, will be the chairman of the Council of Obas. When Dr. Omalolu Olunloyo from Ibadan became governor in October 1983, he too preferred to follow tradition. At the center of the struggle was the interpretation of the Arole tradition, that is the mainstay of Yoruba Obaship. In ancient times, the ancestors have created a rulership system that revolved around a mythological figure, Oduduwa, who received the right to rule the perpetuity from Olodumare, the supreme god. His descendants derived their rights to the various thrones in Yoruba land and beyond from him. Every of his sons, wherever they settled, have the right to become the Oba as long as they are gifted with the crown from Oduduwa or any of his descendants. There are many stories where an Ife prince had come to a community with his entourage and they succeeded in upturning the autochthonous rulership. An example is the great Benin Kingdom. Every Oba is the representative or heir of the first Oduduwa descendant to occupy his throne. He cannot be promoted nor transferred. It is this Arole tradition that gives the Aláàfin precedence over every Oba in Oyo State, including the son of Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ and the Olúbàdàn of Ìbàdàn, who are presiding over bigger politics. The Aláàfin is the Arole of Ọ̀rànmíyàn, the most famous grandson of Oduduwa. He is also Ṣàngó, a deified Aláàfin, and every other Oba that have reigned before him, and he can invoke their powers if need be. Professor Wole Soyinka, the noble laureate, once told a story about an incident when he visited the late Aláàfin Adéyẹmí, who in a jiffy invoked Ṣàngó to send down the rain. It is the Arole tradition that makes every Oba a living ancestor. When the prince is led into the Ikpebi, preceding his coronation, it is to transfigure him. In those few weeks of seclusion, he will be properly cooked and immersed into the sacerdotal essence of his office. When he emerged from the Ikpebi, he will have become a new person. Note that this is the truth mostly of the Oras who are direct descendants of Oduduwa and who brought their original crowns from Ile-Ife. It does not apply to the new generation Oba. It is the Arole tradition that makes the Ooni the Arole Oduduwa. During the First Republic, Ooni Adesoji Aderemi led other Yoruba Obas to Oyo at the investiture of Chief Ladoke Akintola, the premier of the Western region, as the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò. Akintola had impressed it on Ọba Ladigbolu that he would prefer to be styled the Kakanfò of Yoruba land and not just that of Oyo. Okay, when Aderemi stood up to deliver a speech, all other Oba present, including Aláàfin Ladigbolu, laid their erukere, decorated horse whisk, the symbol of their royal authority, on the ground as a sign of respect to the Arole Oduduwa. Last week, Ooni Adeyeye Ogunwusi did not have the opportunity of addressing the august audience at the Aláàfin formal outing. It was an historic opportunity missed. Wow! Mo dẹ̀ sọ àwọn èèyàn kan ní Ọọ̀ni ò lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ láti sọ̀rọ̀, Ọọ̀ni ò lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ láti sọ̀rọ̀, kí lọ́ọ̀ni fẹ́ sọ? Mo mọ nǹkan tí ó túmọ̀ sí pé èmi Àkàndá ọ̀rọ̀ Awíkókó mọ nǹkan tí mo ń sọ. It was an historic opportunity missed. There are many more opportunities ahead for the two top monarchs to collaborate and work for the interest of the Yoruba people and Nigeria. Owoade has now joined the League of the Living Ancestors. History beckons to him to create his own unique imprint so that the generality of the Yoruba people all over the world will know that we have entered a new era. It is his turn. Congratulations, Aláàfin Owoade, the end. Oh, mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tí ń gbọ́ mi dáadáa. Torí àkókò wa, ìwé yìí, àpilẹ̀kọ yìí, addendum ẹ̀, response láti Ọ̀yọ́ Aláàfin nìkan ni màá fètò yìí ṣe. Nǹkan míì tá fẹ́ nàyẹ́ á nàyẹ́ nínú ètò míì kó má bàa pọ̀ jù. Ẹ jẹ́ ká sáré wo addendum tí dádì mi Dáre Babarinsa tí wọ́n ṣe. Wọ́n pe àkórí ẹ̀ ní Aláàfin. An addendum. I don't normally write a rejoinder to my public essays, but I need to make certain elucidation on my recent write-up on our father, the Aláàfin. 1. The story is about relationships and not who is superior. Ẹ rí pé nǹkan tí ń lọ lábẹ́lẹ̀ ni. 2. Their role system is real for the first-class obas. They encounter and embrace it during the process of coronation. 3. The Ooni is Oodua, just as the Aláàfin is Ọ̀rànyàn. This is not a claim. Those who knows know. 4. Ọ̀rànmíyàn was the seventh of the first grandchildren of Oodua, among whom were the Olówu, Alákétu and Ọ̀ràngún. None is regarded as superior to the other. They are co-ever. 5. The claim that a priest sees the throne of Oodua is ridiculous. Gbogbo àwọn tó sọ pé abọ́ rẹ̀ ní Ọọ̀ni ìtànbọ̀ lórí ẹ̀ láàyè ọ̀tọ̀. It's ridiculous. If Ọ̀rànmíyàn could return from the bank of the river Niger to become the fourth Ọọ̀ni, how could a priest seize the throne of his father? Ìtànbọ̀ lórí eléyìí náà. In any case, the Ọ̀ràngún, the Ọwá Ogboko and the Olówu were not far away. 6. Since the Obas started meeting in 1937, the Obas know their protocols. Conclusion. I think we need to get comfortable with our history. God bless Dáre Babarinsa. Bàbá mi ò ní wáìtì. A fẹ́ wà comfortable pẹ̀lú ìtàn wa mọ́. Torí ọ̀làjú, torí agbára, torí owó. Àti ń gbégbésẹ̀ ju ipò wa lọ, ju bá a ṣe jẹ́ lọ. Now, I think we need to get comfortable with our history. Inventing new narratives will not do the Yoruba and the black race any good. I am sure the true sons of Oodua are equal to the task. God bless you, my father. Now, eléyìí ó wà nínú attestation wípé akandọ̀rọ̀ awikonko mọ̀ tí mò ń sọ, mo sì mọ nǹkan tí mò ń ṣe. This is the right time láti yẹn bí once and for all. Kí nǹkan kan kíkíní kan gọ́mẹ̀sì lọ́kàn wa mọ́. Ìdínà tí mo fi ní dánu dúró, mo lè má dánu dúró lórí ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹ́ wa gan. Torí pé gbogbo àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ń bí ìtàn míì tó wà nílẹ̀ tá a sì yanjú. Now, ìdáhùn láti Ọ̀yọ́, ìmọ̀ bóyá palace ni wọ́n ti kọ́, mo sá mọ̀ pé àkóríjọpọ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ló kọ́. Wọ́n ní Supremacy of Aláàfin, an essay of caution to Dáre Babarinsa and co-travelers. Tàbí kí n ẹjẹ́ ohun tọrọ ṣẹ́jú bíi méjì. Kí n tó wá kí n fi léyìn ọ̀sẹ̀ mu múná kí n tó wá padà sí orí ọ̀rọ̀ tó jáde láti ààfin Aláàfin tìlú Ọ̀yọ́ láti kí Dáre Babarinsa nílọ̀ àti àwa co-travelers. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
mo sì lọ́ra machine Suzuki tuntun gbà yẹn mo bá rẹ̀ yọkan ó ní mò ń gùn káàkiri bí mo ti ń gùn lọ mo wá gbé nìkan lọ sí ìgbà yẹn ìgbà iléyà ni mo fi ń sọ̀kadà mo wá gbé nìyẹn lọ yídì ó fún mi lówó mo bá ní fún mi ọba ní kí n fún change mo bá ní change èlò lọ fẹ́ gbà ó ní kí n bọ́ mu bó ṣe lójú báyìí ọkàn jáwó yẹn gbà lọ́wọ́ mi ni pé owó kí ni the next ọkọ̀ fọ́ létí mi pé ìwọ náà lè dì báyìí bó ṣe fọ́ létí mi mo wá sunkún wálé pé ta mọ̀ ṣẹ̀ kí lọ́ọ́ fẹ́ léyìí inú ìrìn àjò yẹn torí pé Ọlọ́run fẹ́ lò mí ìgbà tí challenges yẹn wá di mo rò pé kí mo lè ṣe so níbi mo ti ń bá a lọ kò pẹ́ mọ̀ ń ta mọ̀ ṣẹ́ nígbà náà Sunday Igboho wà ní gáràjì ọ̀báǹdè nígbà náà so èmi ń ta mọ̀ ṣẹ́ so ẹnìkan wà ń bẹ̀ tọ́jú lórí gáràjì gbà yẹn so níbi mo ti ń ta mọ́ṣíìn yẹn mo wá ń ta lọ mo sá ń ta mọ́ṣíìn mo ń ta mọ́tò díẹ̀díẹ̀ mo ń ta mọ́ṣíìn mo rí mọ́tò méjì ta.
àwọn mọ́tò tán bá ti lò.
tán bá lókun wíwà nǹkan pẹ́ ni wàhálà dé mo sì l'accident nù. so nínú accident yẹn pẹ̀lú mọ́ṣíìn inú mọ́tò mo ti jáde nínú mọ́tò ni mọ́tò tó wá kọlu mọ́tò tí mo wà nú ẹ̀.
jáde nínú mọ́tò bí wàá yé mi.
ṣe rí mo jókòó wájú mọ́tò báyìí nígbà tí accident ń ṣẹlẹ̀ mo gba bí gíláàsì jáde ni. mọ́tò tá a wá tí mọ́tò tèmi gbé tọkọlù mọ́tò èmi mo ta mọ́tò yẹn fẹ́ ni ẹ pọ́npọ́n ni àwa lọ kọlù mo gba bí gíláàsì jáde ni so kíní yẹn wá gbé mi àwọn èèyàn náà sọ fún mi kíní yẹn gbé mi lọ bó ṣe kú díẹ̀ kí n kan òpó ná mo sì lọ ọmọdé kẹlẹ́ ní jẹ́ta mo ń fi ran ọmọ mi àti ìyàwó mi pé níbi mo ti lásìdẹ̀ntì ló kíní yẹn gbé mi lókè báyìí bó ṣe gbé mi lókè báyìí wọn ló kù díẹ̀ kí n forí kan wáyà náà wọn ní kíní yẹn gbé mi padà ọ̀dà ń padà báyìí bó ṣe wá dá mi padà orí mọ̀nbábọ̀ ní ẹni tó kù díẹ̀ kí n délẹ̀ kí ni ẹ tún change mi mo á fi bí gbálẹ̀ lórí mi ṣe bí mo ṣe yí lórí mi bí mo ṣe mọ̀ tí mo ṣe mọ̀ nù ìyẹn nìyá mi wá gbé mi lọ sí 7 day hospital nílé Ifẹ̀ ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ tí wọ́n á tọ́jú mi so lẹ́yìn oṣù mẹ́fà àwọn aṣọ fún ìyá mi pé kó lọ fẹsẹ̀ létọ̀ wípé àwọn ọmọ tí ń ṣẹ́ni pé padà tí máa padà délé mo kàn ń fún ẹ̀jẹ̀ mo kọ́ rìn lọ́nu ilé tán ìyá mi wà mí kiri ẹnìkan sáré mi ó mú padà wálé so mo ti ń fún ẹ̀jẹ̀ mo ń fún ẹ̀jẹ̀ lẹ́nu mo ń tú ẹ̀jẹ̀ lórí mi ṣe wálẹ̀ nù. ìgbà tó rí wá wálẹ̀ kí orí mi ó tó wálẹ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n gbà àwọn mọ́ṣíìnì lọ́wọ́ mi tán sanwó padà mi ò dá ọmọ mọ́ ti gbé mọ́ṣíìnì lọ. nítorí rí pọ̀ ṣùgbọ́n nítorí mo ń sábà ṣe ni pé tọ́lọ́mbá ni tí ó fi á ṣe tó bá fẹ́ fi á dára ó fẹ́ lò àfúnra wa ó fẹ́ lò àfáwọn ẹlòmíràn kò ní gbà ká ṣe tó wà àwọn èrí tí mo ti rí tó ti la ikú lọ́pọ̀ ìyẹn ló wá mú mi máa sá kiri because gbèsè ti wà nílẹ̀ bára mi ṣe yí àwọn tí mo jẹ́ ń gbèsè wọn wá mi àwọn tí wọ́n wá fọgbọ́n gba mọ́ sí mi ò rí wọn mọ́ so mi nǹkan tí ẹ lé jáde gbèrò pé mò ń wẹ́ nìkan mọ́ torí wàhálà yẹn ti pọ̀ jù bẹ́ẹ̀ nìkan mọ́ mo á sáwálé Ifẹ̀ ìgbà mo á sáwálé Ifẹ̀ létà mo tún wá rò pé kí mo sáà ń jókòó kanú lé ni mi ì lè jáde ni mo wá wò pé kí mo lè ṣe ọmọbìnrin kan wá bá mi sọ̀rọ̀ nítorí kan pé kí n já lọ ọ̀dọ̀ àǹtí mi àti ìpín soko lọ́mọ dá ń bẹ̀ kí òun pọ̀ tiẹ̀ mú mi débẹ̀ tó bá ti mú mi débẹ̀ òun ó fi mí lẹ̀ bẹ̀ nígbà sàdọ́dọ̀ àǹtí mi bá nígbà mo lówó mi ò rẹ̀ ata fún èmi ìyá mi la jọ ń gbádùn torí mo ti mú ìyá mi kúrò lóko ìyá mi ti lo mọ́tò mo ti tọ́jú ìyá mi mo ti mójútó àbẹ̀ tí nígbà tí wàhálà yẹn dé ìyá mi bìbí pé bá torí pé mo mú òun kúrò lóko ni gbogbo ṣe ń bá mi jà ọmọ wa ní kí n dé wọn padà sáàrin sábúlé padà so ìyá padà gbogbo ẹ̀ sájà ọ̀sá wa sọ fún mi àti mi ò lè sùn bí mi ní à ilẹ̀ ti sùn ẹja á sùn ọ̀sá ní kí n sùn bọ́sẹ̀ díjọ́ kejì ló fún mi lówó mọ́tò ó ní tètè mọ́ lọ bí mo ṣe kó bẹ́ẹ̀ nu kí kó bẹ́ẹ̀ tí mo wá kó bẹ́ẹ̀ ọwọ́ èmi ọmọbìnrin yẹn wá jọ lọ orí òkè èkó yìí pé kí n lọ mọ́ gbé bẹ́ẹ̀ orí òkè èkó yẹn mo wá wà pé mọ̀ gbé mo fẹ́ mọ̀ kàn gbé bẹ́ẹ̀ kí n sá máa rí nǹkan kan tọrọ jẹ ẹ̀yìn ìgbà wọn ò ní wá rí mi mú bẹ́ẹ̀ àwọn ní wá rí mú pé ń fẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ àwọn sàkàkó bẹ́ẹ̀ tí n bá dẹ̀ rẹ́ tí mo mọ̀ ń wá yẹ ẹgbẹ́ kan fún.
lẹ́yìn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìrìn àjò mi nínú ayé nínú ìṣòro àti nínú wàhálà àti nínú ìpọ́njú ọlọ́run pàpà jẹ́ kó já sí ayọ̀ fún mi gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ̀ ń wo ètò yìí ọ̀rọ̀ tẹ̀yìn náà já sí ayọ̀ mo lọ sí orí òkè mo lọ pẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ mo lọ káàkiri ní ìjọ tí mo ń wá solution sí ọ̀rọ̀ ayé mi lẹ́yìn tí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wàhálà wá dé tán tí mi ò mọ ibi tí ń gbà lọ mo bá wòlíì tèmi pàdé ọ̀nà tí mo dẹ̀ gbà pàdé ọ̀nà ìyanu ni ó jíṣẹ́ fún mi lọ́jọ́ náà pé lọ́rẹ́rán àbọ̀sìn kó lọ fi tọrẹ mo ń wò pé ṣé n tó kù lélẹ́yìí ewu lẹ́rán àbọ̀sìn abomination lélẹ́yìí ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tí gbogbo ẹ̀ le kankan tí mo ibi tí ń gbégbà mo gbé gbèsè mo lọ sílùú wa bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ pé mo jẹ gbèsè nílùú wa náà ní ìgboro ọ̀rìn lójúmọ́ ọmọ ní Mọdákẹ́kẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n ẹnìkan yá mi ní mọ́tò kan ó ní lọ mọ́tò yẹn ò lè sí mo wà ní gíláàsì ni mo fẹ́ ṣe kí n tó wọ inú ìlú wa inú ooru torí pé tí n bá wà ní gíláàsì kalẹ̀ mi ìmọ̀ ẹni tí ó rí mi tí ó mú mi pé ara ẹni tó jẹ́ àǹgbèsè rí ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀rọ̀ mi ti di aṣọ pé báyìí ó ti dọ̀pẹ́ báyìí ó ti dẹ̀ rí mo ti kúrò nínú àwùjọ àwọn onígbèsè àwọn tó ń bá yẹn san gbèsè nínú àwùjọ ọmọ àbáyé ṣùgbọ́n lẹ́yìn ọ̀rẹ́yìn mo gbé ìgbésẹ̀ mo lọ fi ẹran àbọ̀sí yẹn tọrẹ bí mo ṣe fi tọrẹ tán ní oṣù yẹn gangan ni mo kọ́kọ́ kọ́lé àkọ́kọ́ ilé àkọ́kọ́ oṣù yẹn and then ìwọ náà tí ẹ lè ṣe é ṣe ọlọ́run lè gbọ́ pàdé ìyanu lè ṣẹlẹ̀ mọ́ rora ẹpin ìlérí ọlọ́run ọ̀sẹ̀ mọ́ ẹ lára ó lè pè mí sórí nọ́mbà tó bá gbàgbọ́ ní olúwa tó dẹ̀ ṣetán láti gbé ìgbésẹ̀ sí ní tọ́lọ́run bá wí tó bá gbàgbọ́ ní olúwa wòlíì ó máa ń lì dí wá sọ̀dọ̀ olúwa ni wòlíì solúwa ṣùgbọ́n tó bá ti gbàgbọ́ ní olúwa iṣẹ́ wòlíì iṣẹ́ ìránṣẹ́ yóò ṣe lórí ayé ẹ mo mọ̀ sàn lórí fóònù nọ́mbà tó lè pè mí sí lélẹ́yìí 070 84 74 20 61 070 84 74 20 61 orúkọ mi ni wòlíì Rúbẹ́nì Akọrẹ láti iléeṣẹ́ ìránṣẹ́ CCC Òkèlápadà Paris tí gbogbo èèyàn máa ń pè ní Sẹ̀lẹ̀ Gospel àtẹ̀dọ̀ sí Apẹtẹ nìbàdàn ní adé ọ̀sọ̀sọ̀ntù àlàáfíà fún yín.
ẹ káàbọ̀ padà níbi tá a roko tì sí ni ẹjẹ́ àfàbọ̀ sí ṣé ìgbàgbé mo ní ọ̀rọ̀ wá láti Ọ̀yọ́ àkọlé ẹ̀ ni wọ́n pè ní Supremacy of Aláàfin, an essay of caution to Dari Babarinsa and co-travelers. As much as some of us would not want to revisit the supremacy tussle between the Aláàfin and Ooni, people like Alagba Dari Babarinsa will provoke us with their unfounded and baseless narratives. Pẹ̀lú nǹkan tí wọ́n báàgì pẹ̀lú ẹ̀rí ọ̀dà. What exactly are they saying or trying to prove or gain from this controversy? Tell us, who in his right frame of mind will rate Ooni above Ikú Bàbá Yèyé? The Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́, history has been kind and has vindicated the Aláàfin and nothing can change it. Okay now, it is crass ignorance and profound naivety on the part of anyone who steers this renewed debate. Mr. Dari Babarinsa is guilty of this needless rivalry and commotions. I don't know the interest of whom is surreptitiously serving either Ooni or his personal interest. We do not know. The hierarchy and status of traditional rulers in Yoruba land were never in contention until Chief Obafemi Awolowo adulterated it with his dirty brand of politics. Yes, he caused this utter confusion, disunity, and Owoade rivalry in Yoruba land. Chief Obafemi Awolowo, as the premier of the Western region and the political head of the action group, callously placed the then Ooni of Ife, Ọba Tadenikawo Adesoji Aderemi, over his Imperial Majesty, the Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́, Ọba Bello Gbadegesin Ladigbolu II, and gave him all the political support. It was unrefined politics on Chief Awolowo's part. After dethroning and banishing the 43rd Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́, His Majesty Ọba Alhaji Adeniran Adeyemi II, that the action group leaders found Ọba Adesoji Aderemi as the right political stooge to alter the lush and cherished traditional history of the Yorubas. I love history and not history being distorted. I am neither an ethnic chauvinist nor jingoist, but I have special affinity for history. It is worrisome when people concoct genres of myth in the face of impeccable facts. It remains a myth, as it is diametrically opposed to obvious historical facts. Ask yourself, before the advent of Ọba Adesoji Aderemi, who were the past Ooni of Ife? Probe your inquisitive mind further, can I mention the names of the past Oonis and their significant roles in the Yoruba political and administrative history? No Ooni surfaced or featured in our history as Yorubas. In fact, none of these harbingers of distortions cannot abate from the Yoruba history. From time immemorial is the significant roles of the Aláàfin of Oyo had an empire that traversed the shores of Yoruba land. Aláàfin was the head of that powerful, rich and influential empire. No empire existed, either now or before, except the ancient Oyo Empire. History has acquainted us with copious facts that Ooni is known to have been appointed by the Aláàfin as the custodian and keeper of the rituals and oratory of the gods in Ile-Ife. The stool of Ooni was never known to be big or hereditary kingship. Oonis have been the descendants of Adimo, the Olorisa, instead of being the direct descendants of Oduduwa. The Aláàfins of Oyo have been the paramount kings and rulers of the Yorubas. Aláàfin, in recognition of his leadership, had intervened in numerous boundary disputes involving the territories of the Ooni and Owaobukun Adimola of Ijesaland. Wọ́n found it some years back when Oba of Benin visited Ile-Ife. The comment made by the Ooni, I am happy to welcome back my son and brother to the land of our ancestor Oduduwa, was swiftly refuted by the Oba through his response, who is the son of who? Moreover, the British, as it was in their tradition, recognized the lineage as meaning supremacy and legitimacy, preferring to sign the Treaty of Secession with the Aláàfin as the head of the Yoruba nation on August 4th, 1960, when Sir Adesoji Aderemi held sway as the Ooni of Ife. Aláàfin Bello Gbadegesin Ladigolu II was appointed the chairman of the Council of Obas for 2 years. Oba Adesoji never bated an eyelid. That was when Oba Adesoji Aderemi ti dàgbà tí ò lè jáde mọ́ tó wá ní kí Aláàfin ọmọ orílẹ̀-èdè ìtàn bọ̀ ńbẹ̀. In 1962, when the Ooni had ceased to be a governor, he departed to his traditional stole and was attending the meetings of the Obas, which had the Aláàfin as the chairman. When was that, you? When the first term of Aláàfin Gbadegesin expired, he was reappointed for another 2 terms. The Aláàfin was reappointed for the 3rd time in 1965 until the military struck. In 1966, Lieutenant Colonel Adeyinka Adebayo made the Ooni chairman and the Aláàfin his deputy. Only the Aláàfin, among other traditional rulers, protested the awkward appointment and sought redress, as Aláàfin does not play a second fiddle to any Oba in Yoruba land. In 1976, the military government had to reinstate the Aláàfin as the chairman of the council. It is also a distortion to address the Ooni as his imperial majesty. Well, Ambo, this is another gaffe. We have addressed this issue for the 18th time. Only the Aláàfin is addressed as is or your imperial majesty. You cannot assume the title when you have no empire you rule over. Aláàfin ruled over a vast empire from Ilorin to Dahomey and to some parts of Ghana, Ashanti. Why Ooni did not have that royal privilege? The Ooni is better addressed as his or royal majesty. This is history, my people. Okay, the preeminence and supremacy of the Aláàfin are obvious from the above assertions and as deeply exposed in many Yoruba books of history. We should not distort the history by pitching the Aláàfin against the Ooni. Ọba Adéyẹyè Ògúnwùsì made an unequivocal statement on his coronation day that he was not into any supremacy contest with the Aláàfin. Therefore, Aláàfin remains the undisputed leader of all Yoruba monarchs. Mr. Dari Babarinsa and his co-travelers should halt their shenanigans and tread softly on the slippery turf of manipulative ignorance. We understand his sophistries. We are sure Ooni did not commission him or any of his lies for this hatchet job. Let peace reign. Adéjàre Ibrahim ẹ̀tọ́kọ́ nìyẹn kọ́pì ìtàn Yorùbá, kọ́pì Awikonko TV, kọ́pì Gbàgede Ìtàn, Ajíṣebí Ọ̀yọ́ TV, Ajíṣebí Ọ̀yọ́ rédíò, Ajíṣebí Ọ̀yọ́ rédíò TV. Kánnakánná nọmẹ̀gà, ìjà ń bọ̀, ìjà àtàn ní ń bọ̀ o, kì í ṣe ìjà tìpátìkúùkù. Akẹ́dọ̀rọ̀ Awikonko ẹjẹ́ àwọn òfin yìí ṣe rẹ mọ́. Lágbára Ọlọ́run láti láǹfààní àti túpàdé pẹ̀lú ògo Ọlọ́run wọn fẹ́ kọ́ pọ̀ jù. Bàbá ní amẹ́nu lé nǹkan mìíràn nísìn yọ pọ̀ gan-an. Ẹ ti gbọ́ àpilẹ̀kọ mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta, ẹ gbọ́ ti bàbá Dari Babarinsa, ẹgbẹ́ lè tí wọ́n fi ṣe addendum, ẹ̀dẹ̀ gbọ́ èsì tó jáde láti Ọ̀yọ́. Àánú Olódùmarè nífẹ̀ẹ́ nìkan kan wá sílẹ̀. Ọ̀rọ̀ tó délẹ̀ yìí ẹjẹ́ àyanjú ẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà. Ẹ má jẹ́ kí Yorùbá kánjú, ẹ má jẹ́ kí Yorùbá kánjú, ẹ má jẹ́ àrò wípé nìkan ń dájálẹ̀ abẹ́ nìkan ò dájálẹ̀. Ẹ rí wípé ọgbọ́n ọgọ̀ tí wọ́n ọ̀bọ̀lọ̀bọ̀ ń ṣe tó ń bá wí fún tẹ́lẹ̀ wípé Ọ̀yọ́ mèsì, Ọ̀yọ́ dọ̀bálẹ̀, inú Ọ̀yọ́ lóṣòó, ojú ayé ni Ọ̀yọ́ ń ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀, wọ́n ẹ̀sẹ̀ jáde in full colour. Nísìn tí ọba sísẹ̀lẹ̀ kò ní sí tàn, owó ní síwájú ijó, nǹkan kan ní ọ̀sàtọ́kù fún nǹkan kan. Ọlọ́run ṣe tí mo wú ọ̀rọ̀ yìí jáde láti ìpìlẹ̀. Àánú Olódùmarè nífẹ̀ẹ́ nìkan kan wá sílẹ̀. Ẹ like, follow page mi lórí Facebook Awikonko TV, Awikonko TV. Ẹ subscribe sí YouTube channel mi Awikonko TV. Ẹ wá ní nǹkan pàtàkì tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ ká jọ sọ, ọjà sọ lórí WhatsApp nìkan +234 904 851 9362 +234 904 851 9362. Èdè àti àṣà Yorùbá ò ní wọ mi o, orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá ò ní dàrú, ìlú ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan wa yóò tòrò minimini, ajú wa ṣe o.
Yoruba TV YouTube channel Yoruba Game Show onídèmọdé tẹ́ bá ti ń gba ìbéèrè lẹ́ ó máa gba ẹ̀bùn owó ńlá lórí ètò yìí o onídèmọdé.
Adéoyè Àbẹ̀fẹ́ Awikonko gbákúngbákọ̀ wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ èdè bàbá èdè ètò tuntun tó gbé jáde nílé yìí o onídèmọdé ẹ̀gbọ́n ta ni ó dáhùn ìbéèrè Awikonko lórí ètò onídèmọdé kó gbowó ńlá 500,000 naira. Yorùbá Game Show ní nípele jìpele lédè Yorùbá pọ́nbélé àṣà àti ṣe orí àtúnṣe ìbéèrè ó ti máa jáde lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá àtàtà káàkiri àgbáyé ó yá kájọ máa kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kájọ máa kọ́ gbọ́ngbọ́n lórí ètò tí Awikonko gbé kalẹ̀ lórí YouTube onídèmọdé authentic Yorùbá TV lẹ́ ó ti máa rí wo Awikonko onídèmọdé ta ló ní túmọ̀ tó tí ó dáhùn ìbéèrè gbogbo ńlá ìpàdé lórí ètò onídèmọdé kájọ máa fojú lóúnjẹ ayọ̀ jẹ lórí YouTube channel authentic Yorùbá TV láti gbàdégbà.